No, so I can't speak for Marriott here. I represent Chalet, and we've got many Marriott hotels that we own. We also have an Accor hotel. So we have an hotel in Pune. I think the thoughts are very similar to what the others expressed. The endeavor is to manage by first by reducing salaries as against doing job cuts, so protect as many jobs as possible. Aligning your cost structures with current cash flows, cash available, as well as income streams that we have, and to keep the company solvent. So I think with that as a focus, all decisions are being taken. But like Samir was saying, ultimately it will come down to hard decisions. We'll have to improve productivity levels. And now in India, we had very high people to room ratios because our payroll costs per employee were not as high as the rest of the world. That's not true anymore. And with these conditions on the revenue side, we'll be forced to rethink this whole strategy. We've focused very hard on this over the last 4 or 5 years with 5-star luxury hotels and largely in the luxury space or upper upscale segment. We've operated 1.2 employees to a room. Right? I think we have to go to Western standards. We'll have to look at productivity at 0.7 to odd ratios. And I don't think it's not as if that's not achievable. I think we need to tweak our processes. We need to tweak our service and product offering and make sure that we cater to the revenue earning departments and ignore some of the non-revenue earning areas that we tend to build into our hotels. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, we are all hoteliers. We are people intensive industry. And we've, whilst I sit as on the ownership side today, out of the 32 years, I spent 27 years on the operating side of the business. And one of the things that's taught that I've understood from this field is that hoteliers tend to be, and I've said this before, jack of all trades and master of many. And from that perspective, I think there's a lot of resilience in the fraternity, which will, number one, allow us to find ways around this situation. Number two, I think there will be a lot of job opportunities beyond hotels for a lot of the hotel colleagues in the industry. It's a given that, look, everyone's going to come across COVID positive cases amongst their guests, amongst their employees. We got to make sure that we have the protocol available and ready to handle these situations. We've had those situations in the past, in the last few weeks. I think the teams have done a fabulous job. I think it's very important to be able to isolate the category of guests. Our employees need to be isolated in a fashion to make sure, because they become the common thread between a lot of other people in the hotel. So, you need to take equally, if not better care of their health and safety while they're on the property. We've taken guests, we've got the medical fraternity, we've got in the same hotel, we've got other guests, but we had the benefit of 3 towers. So we were able to isolate the regular guests in a tower, the medic fraternity in another tower, and we had the passengers who were on quarantine in the 3rd tower. So we used that to our benefit in the case of one of our hotels. And I agree, this is going to be something that we'll live with. And like the flu, everyone's going to get it. I won't be surprised if half the panel here has already gone through it. We may not know about it. We might have already gone through it. So we've got to take it in our stride. We can't hide from it. We've got to live with it. We've got to find ways of living with it effectively. It's going to change, and it's a very evolving situation. I don't think we'll know for sure what's going to happen on the capital market side in the hospitality field over the next few weeks. I think it'll take longer to really get a handle on that. Clearly, the valuations will come down. We've seen that happen already on the stock prices of various companies. With about 18 odd months or 24 months of a pain period ahead or stabilizing period ahead, clearly there will be enough assets in the market below replacement cost today to be available. And it'll be individuals or companies that have, as you said, the gunpowder ready and dry with them to maybe grow through an M&A route. We see some of that happening in general in the industry. I see So look, I can't specifically talk about our strategies, but I do see that larger companies will have an opportunity for consolidating and becoming bigger. So that's a strong opportunity that's there in the market today. It will also be the need of the hour, because otherwise the smaller companies, the standalone hotels, will crumble and they go bankrupt if they don't get aligned or merged into larger companies. So from all the dynamics are towards consolidation. It's heading towards there. How much capital is available in the market is going to be the key. What is going to be these resources for new capital for companies mid or large size to be able to draw on and grow through an acquisition route is still yet to be seen. On the design side, I see a sea change on what's going to happen. Mandeep mentioned about the GFA going down. I know hotels that are today in the market in India at 3,000 square foot per room. That's large, right? We built a luxury hotel 6 years back, 1,100 square foot a room. We are now building a Westin and a Hyatt Regency at a gross built-up area of around 800 square foot per room. And this is all pre-COVID. And I see that collapsing further as time goes by. I see a lot of the areas like exec lounges, crew lounges, the size of the lobbies, all that being trimmed down significantly over the new designs as we develop those designs. And as an asset owning company, and we also asset manage those assets, we also have an operating play because we operate one hotel within the portfolio and one hotel we manage for the group on a day-to-day basis. So we do play around all the angles. We also blessed, and the other thing that's going to happen, Ratan, I think a lot of the hotel owning companies like ours are going to hedge their risk by doing more and more mixed use. We have the benefit at Chalet today for having a couple of office assets, a couple of retail assets. Retail assets right now are not doing great. But office rentals are annuity business, which actually tends to support you during these difficult times and during the ups and downs of the hotel cycles, the annual cycles, the weekly cycles, or whatever happens. So to that extent, I think I see some amount of mixed use play coming in a little more stronger. There could also be some turnaround of existing hotel rooms into creating mixed use spaces. Whatever can suitably be deployed. For example, if you've got large areas with reasonable ceiling height in your ground or first floor levels, there is potentially an opportunity of converting them to office spaces in any form. It could be shared offices, it could be regular offices, but there's opportunity there. The other thing, like everyone said, is we are going to get a lot more automation. And like Mandeep, I've been sharing this across various forums that receptions are going to be history. Buffets are going to be questioned, whether you can do buffets anymore. I don't see multiple specialty restaurants in hotels anymore. I think one all-day dining is going to be the norm. Maybe luxury hotels can do with one specialty restaurant at best. I don't see more than that happening. So these are some of the thoughts that I have on this front. But yeah, to sum it up, I see a lot of M&A happening in the future. So this is Sanjeev who asked this question, right? Sanjeev, yes, yeah. We've been engaging with on various forums. As you know, we as hoteliers are represented across forums of Hotel Association of India, the FHRAI, then there are the regional associations, and we've got FAID as an umbrella body that covers all the travel and tourism and hospitality associations. And in addition to that, you've got CI and FICCI, who have their own panels on tourism and hospitality, who've been engaging with the state and central governments. So we've engaged, just for information, with right from the PMO. We've had representations made by all bodies to the Honorable Prime Minister. We've had representations made to the Tourism Minister, the Finance Minister, Niti Aayog, RBI, all the state governments, the Chief Ministers of States, and the Tourism Ministers of States. And also we've gone and engaged with various bodies like the MERC, which is the Electricity Department for Maharashtra, similar association, similar bodies in various states, requesting and trying to get some relief on various cost heads for us. everyone and at every stage has recognized that hospitality is one of the worst hit industries and there is urgent support needed. We haven't seen much of it come by. I think what we've seen so far is more on the MSME side. So therefore, hotels and hotel companies which fall under the MSME criteria are getting some relief. And on that side, there is significant relief that's available. Some state governments have extended some form of relief, which is most welcome. And I can speak for Maharashtra, where our tourism minister, the young Mr. Aditya Thackeray, is working very hard on getting us some relief. And I'm pretty confident that we'll get something very soon in Maharashtra. But I think the big relief that we need is from RBI. We continue to pursue that. We need relief on electricity costs, which is a very large cost after the people costs. And we need relief on excise licenses and property taxes. This is what we're pursuing right now. Thank you. Back to you, Ratan. Let's put ourselves in our customers' shoes. They need some form of validation on the safety aspect. Now, for bigger hotels with both national or global brands, there's some comfort in those brands, right? And this, so that can be used. But for hotels which are not really branded hotels, are not large brands, the customers are going to need some form of validation. As long as it remains as a very simple, non-commercial venture by online travel agents of saying that this is self-certification and it's just a tick mark to ensure that they say they have complied with what the requirement is for as far as the protocols are concerned, it should end at that. There should be no rating system. There should be no prioritizing. They use their own algos to prioritize. They'll continue to do that. But this shouldn't form a part of that algo as long as the certification is there. I haven't seen the form, Ratan, to be frank, so I really don't know how to respond to what they've asked for. But yes, I understand your point that there's a risk that this could then become it could become a tactic to either get more revenues from the hotels or to arm twist some hotels or hotel companies. So there's a risk to it. I don't know, but I don't believe that everyone's going to resort to it. But yes, we leave ourselves exposed to some extent. I think it's going to be a bit of both, because I'll tell you why. We have mid-sized properties and we have very large properties. I think for the large properties, which are 600, in one case 770 odd rooms, we would like to stay with management contracts. And I'm giving this as an example because that's what's likely to happen for most owners also. Because we need the availability of feet on the ground at a global level. And very often when you move into a franchise contract, the categories of sales teams that are available to you get restricted. And we can't just think of cost just because we are faced with a COVID-19 situation. We've got to look at revenue. That comes first. So our ability to grow revenues should be our first priority. I'm not saying we shouldn't focus at cost simultaneously, but we can't lose sight of revenue opportunity. So from that perspective, I think management contracts tend to play out a better role. Smaller hotels, which are established, tend to sort of work on their own, and therefore they don't need the multiple segments that you've got to work with and can survive on franchise. In our portfolio today, we've got one franchise hotel. It happens to be the highest occupancy, hotel in our whole portfolio, running in high 80s most of the last 5 years. But in fact, it was 90 for a year, right, in 1 year. And from a cost perspective, while Sanjay said that Mandeep said that the costs can be very different. I've realized the costs are not very different. When you add up the cost that you got to deploy on the sales team side, add up the cost that you pay anyway to the brand in terms of the IT cost, the infrastructure cost, the distribution cost, it's not much of a difference. Size have already rolled out, created and rolled out manuals, SOPs, or protocols, whatever you call them, to handle the current crisis, and they, in their current form, can be adapted for any future crisis that may occur. Hopefully not, though. So from that perspective, I think there'll be a lot more agility in response to any future crisis of this nature. After a very long time, something like this has happened. So it's opened everyone's eyes a little wide to say, listen, you've got to be prepared for anything, and literally anything. So from that perspective, I think there'll be a lot more preparedness. I do want to come back though on the previous question on the young people being insecure about jobs in hospitality. And I want to make it a very, a singular very, very short statement. Look, I've put in 32 years in the hospitality industry, most of them in operations in some form or the other. Even as a CEO of a hotel company where we were operating the brand Keys, I was running operations, right? And if you ask me, would I do it all over again? Absolutely. I came into hospitality by accident, but if in my next life, if there was such a concept and I had to tick a box of what I would like to be in my next life, I would, without any hesitation, say hospitality all over again. And I would say hospitality as from an operations perspective. It's exciting. Every day is different. And like I think Samir mentioned that, look, the younger generation is blessed with being tech savvy and being more current. It is the senior citizens like us who have to adapt to, a lot more. But, you guys don't be worried. I mean, you are more suited today to handle the change and the challenges that we are facing right now than most of the people. I think your hospitality schools will prepare you for that. Your training, your internships that you would have done at hotels would have prepared you for that. And the fact that you chose hospitality, the aptitude that you probably have that finds you suitable for hospitality is a great asset to have. So don't be worried. It'll come back. We'll come back to normal. May take a while. Things will change. We'll adapt. You'll adapt. But things are going to be good again. Don't lose hope. Hotel asset management is the key today, right? What does a hotel asset management do? It's the bridge between a hotel owner and the hotel brand to improve efficiencies and drive or optimize profitability for the organization. And there are various ways to do it. Our role is a little more expanded at Chalet. Our role includes driving operational efficiencies through a very robust review mechanism that we set up in the organization. But it also includes optimizing cost of capital, capital structuring, or our treasury functions that we do. So all of it comes together as asset management. It's not just the day-to-day hotel operations. It's a critical role. I was speaking to one of the country heads of one of the brands that operates our hotels. And his response was that today, if I want to be in any space in hospitality, I want to be in asset management. So I think you have an answer there. Since there was an and or, I'm going to take that opportunity to add to that. So look, all of what Mandeep said is true. I think there will be a lot of capital market activity that's going to happen. The new development pipeline, there will be a lot of assets that will be available, ready assets or half-ready assets that will be available in the market, below replacement costs. So that's where the transaction is going to happen. But, to answer your question, whether there are new hotel players that are going to come into the market, not just in owning side, I think in every crisis, there's an opportunity. And from that perspective, there's an opportunity for young or senior hoteliers to maybe create their new brands, new concepts that are aligned with the new normal, which will then, can give you a great start, which no one else has. So look at it. If you really think out of the box, there could be some brilliant opportunities for young entrepreneurs to step into.